Hi guys, welcome to day 19 of the Excel online training. Today we'll be talking about how to protect your workbook and your worksheet. Remember, we were in our previous lessons we've actually discussed the difference between workbooks and worksheets. The entire file is the workbook, whereas a particular sheet, like what I have here, sheet 1, sheet 4, these are worksheets. But the entire collection is actually the workbook. So today we'll be learning how to apply protection to workbook and to the worksheet. Sometimes you have content you do not want people to edit, especially when multiple users will be working on the file. And also sometimes you have files that you do not want just anybody to be able to access. Sometimes, as you know, files may contain confidential information. So you sometimes just want to avoid when users even gain access to the file, you do not want them to be able to access the file. So you want to password protect it. That's one of the things we'll be learning in today's lesson: how to password protect our files, how to ensure that even someone gain access into the file, they do not edit a particular cell. Sometimes you've done your formulas, or you've computed some very complex formulas, and you do not want other people to distort the formulas. So these are part of the use cases for you to protect your workbook and your worksheet. So those are the things we will be covering today. Let's go. um I'll just come over here to sheet 4, and then I'll show you how you can do that. Now, by default, the thing you should know is all cells in Excel are locked by default. Locked in the sense that you are not you do not have the exclusive right, quote unquote, to be able to edit the content. But the lock does not come into effect until you protect the files. So by default, the cells are locked, but if you do not protect the file or protect the sheet, those lock, they mean nothing, absolutely nothing. Let me show you what I actually mean. So if I just come here under my review tab, I can see the options there: protect sheet, protect workbook. Let me protect sheet 4. So if I click on protect sheet, and then I will apply a password that I want to use to protect the sheet. If I say, let me just use password, it tells you to confirm, just to be sure you actually are sure of what you are using to lock it, because you may not be able to retrieve it afterwards. Okay, now it's protected. Now can you see I can no longer enter anything into any part of the cells, because I've actually protected the sheet. Now I cannot input anything. That's because by default all cells are locked. So immediately you protect a sheet or protect a workbook, those lock comes they come into effect immediately. So let me unprotect it first and show you how you can actually manage this. So I've unprotected it. Now if I come to the home tab, okay, under the font, I'll just click this little button here. So it's going to come up with a dialog box. Okay, now if I come to the protection tab here, you can see by default I have locked. So the right thing to do is, before you actually protect your sheet or your workbook, just press Ctrl A. Ctrl A would select all the cells in your sheet. So by pressing Ctrl A, I now return to that font box. Okay, under protection, so I check unlock. Can you see that? I've unlocked everything. Now, by now, if I say, now let's imagine I want to just protect column A and B. So to protect column A and B, let's say column A contain names, while column B contain addresses. Okay, so I want to just protect column A and B. People should be able to enter other things here. So let's say I have a sheet that contains people's names, say okay, and the address is Lagos, Nigeria, and then I have, and the address is Kaduna, Nigeria. Okay, so let's imagine I need them to to impute other cell or other columns. So I need them to provide their gender. I need them to provide, what else can I ask them to provide? Favorite color, and other columns of information like that, that I need them to provide. But I don't want them to be able to edit this. So imagine you have numerous names. You have numerous names, and you've inputted their address. So you've inputted the names and the address, but you don't want them to edit the name and the address. All you need them to do is just to enter their gender and their favorite color. So I want to protect this while allowing users to actually manage this. So this is what I do. Remember, I've actually unlocked all the cells, because like we said, all cells are locked under Excel by default. Now I highlight the part I want to actually lock. So I come back now after I've highlighted the part I want to lock. Then I apply the lock only to that part. Now after applying the lock only to that part, I go back to the review, and then I say, okay, protect the sheet for me. So under the protect sheet, you actually have different options. So here I'm telling that after I've protected the sheet, I only need the user should be able to select it, so they can select it, and then they can select or unlock cells. Also, they can select lock cells, they can select unlock cells, but then they are unable to do other things on the cells I've locked. They are unable to format the cells. They cannot format the column, they cannot format the row. So depending on your requirement, you can actually just select what you want users to be able to do and what you don't want them to do. But I will just leave it at this default for me. So I would input the password. Remember, it will request for a confirmation. Once you've done that, now look at what happened. I can no longer edit column B, and I can no longer edit column A. But if I come to column C, of course, I can edit column C. Hope you understand that case scenario. So here I've restricted what users can do to my column A and B, but I've opened it up that they can do anything they actually would like to do. Or they can input their they can input the required information on column C and D. So that's one of the use cases that you have. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm protecting the cell. I'm protecting rather the sheet. Okay, and I've selected the columns I want to protect under the sheet. But sometimes what you want to protect is the entire workbook. So if I want to protect the entire workbook, what I use instead is the protect workbook. Now, because I've protected this sheet, okay, there's a protection on this sheet. Now, but people can still come and delete sheets out of this 4 sheets. They can still create new sheets. They can do different things, just because my protection is only exclusive to this sheet 4. But in this case, if you're using the protect workbook, that means I'm protecting the entire file, such that what users will be able to do on the file is limited. Now, by default, you can see I was able to create a new sheet. Okay, I was that sheet 5. I was able to create a new sheet, but let's protect the workbook so that users cannot create and delete. Because I was able to create, I was able to also delete it. But let's do it in such a way that users cannot create sheets on our workbook and cannot also delete. What you have to do is you use the protect workbook. So if I come to the protect workbook, I will input my password. You can use any password you like. Excel is actually not strict on the passwords you can use. So now I've applied protection. Now, if you notice, immediately the protection took effect, this new sheet button went invalid. It just went disabled like that. So I cannot do that. Also, if I say, let me delete this, now look at the options. Options are reduced. The options are gone. I can only view it or protect the sheet, but I cannot delete it anymore. I cannot hide it. I cannot just do anything I would like to do on the sheet. So that tells you what the things you are able to do with your protected workbook. You can restrict access to the workbook at the workbook level, and you can restrict access at the sheet level. So I hope you understand those case scenarios. And sometimes also what you want to do is, you want to protect formulas. So let me unprotect this workbook and the sheet. And like I said, please, and please, when you protect your workbook or you protect your sheet, always make sure that you remember the password. It's not advisable to write the password down, but at the same time, make sure it's a password you can easily recollect. This is not Facebook or Gmail that you do a remind me of my password or a reset password There are no reset password features in Excel. So you need to be sure of that. Although there are some ways you can use to unprotect it, but they are very complex methods using macros and things. One of those methods is the brute force method, which we probably would go into when we are in our macro classes. But I would just advise you, please always make sure you remember those passwords. Okay, so I've unprotected the sheet. I've unprotected the sheet, but so let's do it in a way that I actually just want to protect. Let me unlock this. Remember, I locked these two columns, so I will unlock these two columns. But what I want to do is I want to actually just protect cells that have formulas. So let's imagine you have formulas in your sheet, and you do not want users to be able to edit the formula. So let's say formula here is equals to 3 plus 2. I'll just use simple formula so we do not get to take time. This one is 4 times 6. Can you see the formulas are on different rows, are on different columns? This one is 7 minus 3. So you have formulas here. We can have contents that are not formulas also. We can have content, sorry, yeah. Okay, so we have both content that contain formula, or cells that contain formula, and cells that do not contain formula. But then I want to only apply protection to cells that that contain formula. So that's one of the method I want to teach you how you can actually achieve such. All you have to do now, under your home tab, under editing, you come to editing. Okay, this is editing. Then you look for go to special. You've seen go to special, right? Then I click on formulas, and I click on OK. By default, do you notice that it actually highlights all cells that contain formulas itself? It has highlighted the cells that contain formula itself. So that way I do not need to be searching one by one that this cell does it contain formula or something. So it automatically would highlight the cells that contain formula. Then once it has done that, you guess what we're going to do? We're going to lock those particular cells. After we lock those cells, then we'll come to review, and then we'll protect the sheet. Okay, now we've protected the sheet. If I come to a cell that doesn't contain formula, I can edit it. But the cells that contain formula, I'm no longer allowed to edit them. So that way you're able to protect your formulas in your workbook or in your worksheet. I hope you understand the case use of that and you are able to apply it. Now, the last part I would like to show us is how to actually protect your entire file, such that someone that wants to access your file would need a password. Okay, so I will show you that. I will just hit the F12 button, or come here under file, then I'll do a save as. Okay, let's do a save as and say, okay, I want to save under my desktop. It brings out this dialog box. Now under this dialog box right here, you see a tool drop down. Okay, tools. So what you do is you press on tools, and then you have general option. You press on this little arrow pointing downwards, then you have what they call general options. Then when you click on this general option, what it will ask you is, okay, create a password, just like we created a password. Just like we created a password for people to open, and we created a password for people to modify, or we created a password rather for people to lock people from editing our workbook, and also lock them from editing our worksheet. Now we can create a password here that would stop users from opening the file or from editing the file. So anybody that wants to open the file, the first thing Excel asks is, do you know the password? If you do not know the password, it won't open the file to you. So now you can protect your file with passwords, password to open, password to modify. Then you can decide to actually make the file a read only. You can make it read only. Read only basically means that the user can read the content but cannot modify the content of the file. Okay, so Read only means, okay, now I need you to be able to, for example, I just need you to, I need to pass a file to you just for you to read through, but I do not want you to be able to modify the content. Read only comes in that case, or it works well in that case. The downside for read only is a user can create a copy of it by, saving their own copy. So once they save a copy of that file, they actually, because they created that new copy, they're able to, modify the content of or of the copies created from the original copy. So those are the considerations you need to make when you want to provide a password to stop users from opening, or a password to stop users from modifying the file, editing the file, or you want to make it read only. So those are the options. I hope you just take your time to try them out. So that's where we're going to stop here today. I hope you've learned a thing or two on how to protect your sheets and to protect your workbook. So if you have any question, please feel free to drop it on our YouTube channel, or just send it to us on our Twitter handle. We'll be glad to assist in any way we can. Thanks for your time.